because He's the same. The promises that are in here are not just something you read and say, that was great then, because this is great now. I love people who say I don't believe in God. We've talked about it before. I am seeing so many Christian artists. There's some of us Christian music we grew up. I feel like an old hippie from some of these bands now. But there are so many guys who are leaving the faith and say, this is the words they're saying, I don't believe anymore. What does that even mean? Does it really mean that all that God exposed you to, that blessed you with, that when your eyes were open, that no longer is true? Or you just don't like it anymore? You don't like the way things are. I'm going to go back with that point that we had to establish from the very beginning. God is God and He gets to do whatever He wants to do. I am just the clay. He can do with me whatever He sees fit, and I cannot say, I don't want to be a plate, I want to be a cup. If God says you're a plate, I'm a plate. And until we begin to realize who God is and who we are in that positional place, we're going to continue to spiral. And I want to end with this. I don't know if anybody's familiar with a writer named Philip Yancey. I have a quote written down in my Bible that he wrote many years ago. Because I don't know about you, but I have a lot of unanswered prayers. A lot of questions at times. And Philip Yancey wrote, unanswered prayer brings me face to face with the mystery that silenced Paul. And we're going to read what he was talking about. So what was it that silenced Paul? It was the profound difference between my perspective and God's perspective. When I don't have the answers to my questions, when my prayers are spoken and spoken and spoken and seemingly unanswered, I must come face to face with the idea that He, no matter how much I like or dislike the situation, He is God and I am not. And the sooner I can get to that point and accept that point, the sooner I can accept whatever is happening in my life, good or bad. So what was it that caused Paul to be silent? And I really hope, as I read this, I want to get to that place. Because that happens, I want to get to that place more often. Because that happened to me for this teaching. I said I started out with questions and not really understanding. And as I studied and saying, God, what are you trying to tell me here? And all of a sudden, Esau's characteristics started coming out. And I started realizing that is why God did what He did, because He knew what was going to happen. And I stopped in the middle of one of the days I was writing down some notes, and I just was like, God, you are so awesome. Thank you for opening my eyes to what I did not see before. And it just goes to show that I don't have the answers, but you do. So what is it? Please turn with me, guys. Come on. Romans chapter 11. And I really think you should highlight this. Paul is writing Romans. What Paul did, he wrote lots of letters that are powerful and anointed. What Paul did was travel from country to country, make disciples, preach Jesus Christ to the Gentiles. He was a true evangelist. But what made Paul so effective is this particular passage, I think. Because it's exactly what happened to me when I was doing this lesson. I had to stop and I had to realize the awesomeness of God. In the middle of his letter, he's writing all these letters, and he's telling you got to do this and you got to do this. Jesus saved you, and you are a sinner and you need to be saved from your sins. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, verse 33, oh, the depth of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable his judgment, and his path beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been his counselor? Who has ever given to God that God should repay them? For from him, and through him, and for him are all things, and to him be the glory forever. Paul is teaching, he's preaching, and all of a sudden he stops in the middle of his letter and has this revelation of, oh my God, you are so God. The only reason I can write this letter, the only reason I can travel around and preach your word is because you've allowed me to do it. You're God, and I'm not. Who am I to ever question who you are and why you do it? If we can take the time to say, you know what? I'm going to forget my trials for right this moment. And I'm going to stand on what I know is true. I tell my kids that. Kevin asked, I think it was for your Father's Day, where are you? I think for his Father's Day message, he asked a couple of us, what was the best advice you ever gave your kids? That's a tough question. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what my kids think would be the best advice I ever gave. But I will tell you this. I know the best advice that I could ever give them, and I've given it to both of them, is you need to stand on the truth that you know. Don't be told by someone else. God has revealed himself to you in a personal way. However God has revealed himself, his awesomeness, his holiness, his righteousness, his goodness, his love, however he has revealed that to you, that is who God is for you. And you don't need me to tell you how you should react to that. You should be able to say, you love me so much, I am stopping right now, and I am going to worship you because you are worthy of that worship. There is a God. There is one God. There is no other God.
Amen.
And if you don't, whoever doubts that the world doesn't want it, it doesn't stop his reality. And the sooner that we, even as believers, can take the time and bow down at his feet and say, God, I'm forgetting everything right now, and I'm saying you are my God, and you are holy, and you love me, and you sent your son to die for me because you want me with you for eternity. Then we will stop, and we will understand who God is in all his glory. Because we put aside ourselves. It is for him, for his purpose, for his glory. Your salvation is a gift from God, but it is for the glory of God because you don't deserve to have it. But he's given it to you anyway, for his glory. That's who my God is. And that's why last week when Kirsten came up, I asked if they would do it again. The song, The Blessing. When Kirsten came up last week and prayed for Destiny, she didn't pray. She didn't pray for as a mother would pray. I'm sure there was mother in it. But you You didn't come up here and you didn't pray, oh God, oh my daughter, please bring her. She spoke with power and authority of a covenant blessing of God. The generational blessing. The blessing that was spoken to Abraham thousands of years ago, but still stands today because it's the Word of God. We don't know when that's going to be, but she stood on it like it will be. We need to stand on the Word as if it is, not as if. Father, hear our prayer.